वेलकम बैक टू द अनदर एपिसोड ऑफ द आयल शो। आज हमारे साथ हैं अमेजॉन के एक्स प्रिंसिपल प्रोडक्ट मैनेजर मिस्टर अमित वालिया। अमित वालिया ने अमेजॉन सिएटल में ग्लोबल प्रोडक्ट स्ट्रैटेजी को लीड किया था, फ्रॉम बिल्डिंग माइक्रो इंश्योरेंस सेमी क्लोज्ड वॉलेट टू लीडिंग प्राइसिंग इंटेलिजेंस। जिन्होंने अपना करियर इन्फोसिस से शुरू करके फिनो, पेटीएम, स्नैपडील जैसे टॉप इंडियन कंपनीज में एक इंपॉर्टेंट रोल निभाया है। तो चलिए शुरू करते हैं अपना आज का पॉडकास्ट, जिसमें हम लोग जानने वाले हैं कि किस तरीके से आप अपना प्रोडक्ट मैनेजमेंट में करियर बिल्ड कर सकते हैं और कौन सी ऐसी फाइनेंशियल टिप्स हैं जो आपको अपनी लाइफ में इंप्लीमेंट करनी चाहिए। सो वेलकम अमित टू द आयल शो। एंड सबसे पहले आप अपनी जर्नी के बारे में बताइए कि किस तरीके से आपने अपना करियर स्टार्ट किया एंड क्या मोटिवेट किया आपको प्रोडक्ट मैनेजमेंट में जाने के लिए।
थैंक्स गौरव फॉर हैविंग मी। अगर मैं अपनी जर्नी की बात करूँ, आई थिंक एंड लेट मी टॉक अबाउट 2-3 की events which changed my life and which motivated me to take up product management as my career. So first was after doing my engineering, I joined Infosys as a software developer. So वहाँ पे being a fresher in the company, so what usually happens is you get the kind of work which is basically very basic in nature, and you don't get the like overall visibility कि जैसे आप let's say I was handling a product, I was a coder for AT&T and they were sending emails to all their customers. So I was doing the very basic minimum work. So, and I had a lot of curiosity questions like how our work is contributing to the overall company revenue, what customers are seeing. So there were like a lot of systems in between when an email is sent to a end customer. And none of my leaders, I would say, were able to give me the right response. और या फिर आप ऐसे बोल सकते हो कि जो हमारी डे टू डे डिस्कशंस थी वो बहुत ही टेक्निकल थी इन टर्म्स ऑफ प्रोजेक्ट आई एग्जीक्यूट करता, एंड आई वाज नेवर सेटिस्फाइड with that kind of work. I always felt that I need to know more in order to be able to properly contribute, because I've always thought कि मतलब I've challenged the status quo कि कोई चीज़ अगर हो रही है I want to know why and is there a way for me to add more value to it. So that was one thing which motivated me to do my MBA. So that was the stepping stone for me to get into a leadership role, because then I can know more about what's happening, I can contribute, I can directly interact with the customers. And then the second turning point was when I took up my first job in Fino, which is a bank now. So at that time I was working as a project manager. I was not aware what product management is all about. So वहाँ पे I started to work as a project manager. Still like I was getting what I wanted in terms of customer connect, how do I lead a team. But then in one of the while working there, I got one project where I was able to work very closely with the tech team, and that basically made me feel this is my right space. So basically I then realized that I want to be a project lead where I can leverage tech in order to solve bigger problems, because when you don't use tech, there is a limitation on how much you can scale, how much you can improve the customer experience. But when you start involving tech, then your overall area of your influence increases exponentially. So that's where I realized that I need to work with tech closely and solve customer problems, and still not aware about product development. And then my manager at that point, who is my mentor also, he basically helped me to, and he proposed me that would you like to be a product manager? And then actually I googled then what is a product manager. And then I realized, okay, what I'm doing and what I want to do is actually known as like a product management. And that's where I started my journey as a product manager. And since then, I think I've loved what I've been doing, solving different problems, understanding customer pain points, and then looking back and seeing, how can I leverage tech to solve those problems. So, that was broadly, you can say.
Right. So it was a nice journey. But क्या प्रोडक्ट मैनेजमेंट के लिए MBA करना रिक्वायर्ड होता है? मतलब विदाउट MBA भी प्रोडक्ट मैनेजमेंट में फील्ड में एंटर कर सकते हैं. व्हाट इज द की स्किल्स रिक्वायर्ड टू गेट इनटू द प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजमेंट और प्रोडक्ट मैनेजमेंट?
Short answer is no. I don't think ki MBA is a prerequisite. But what MBA helps anybody is to get to know a lot of other things. For example, coming from an engineering background, when I did MBA, I was studying economics. I was able to read a P&L, which is very essential for any product leader to understand, your numbers. You learn about marketing, how it's very at a very basic level, but at least it exposes you to all these different things. You learn HR, very basic, so which helps you to do people management. So there are like subjects that you learn that definitely helps you to become a good product manager, because in my view a product manager is a leader. Even if you are starting your career as a product manager, you don't have a lot of folks reporting to you, but still I would say by role itself it's a leadership role. You need to influence people who are working with you. Maybe they are not reporting to you, but you need to make sure that you come across as a leader, because if you are not coming across as a leader, then you are not truly a product manager. Then you would be taking directions from somebody and executing it. So I wouldn't say then you are a leader. And coming back to your question, what skill set is required? So I think 2 or 3 essentials for me, which I want to see in a product manager, is like the ownership. A lot of times I've seen, folks who are trying to be, who try to excel in their work, they don't take full ownership of the work and say, okay, I've done my part, I've told somebody, and they assume things would be done. That is strict no. A product manager is basically, in my view, a mini CEO, and a CEO cannot have a sound sleep until he ensures that the work which he has picked is being done. Whether he is doing it doesn't matter, or somebody else is doing. So he needs to take full ownership of the work. Right. And if there is a failure at any point in time, he should be the first one to raise the hand and say, okay, it is my failure. It is he cannot blame it on anybody else. So that's one. Second thing is earn trust. By earn trust, I mean that when you work with your stakeholders, they need to see you as a leader. You need to lead by example. You cannot say that you do this, I will not follow it. And you need to take them, in that journey together. You cannot come to them and if I come as a product manager and say, okay, I have designed a product and I want, let's say, a help from business team or growth team or tech team. And if I come at a very later stage, then you'll try and convince them, okay, what I've done is right. Instead of that, why don't you involve them upfront so that you earn their trust? They should know what you are working towards. If they have any ideas, they should be able to share with you upfront. And I would say the third thing here is deliver results. No matter what you do, ultimately you should remain focused, and your goal should be that, okay, I have a certain goal in my mind. So if a plan A is not working, then I should have plan B. So always stay focused on, whatever results you are chasing. So I think these are, I feel, key. I mean, there are more, but I think these are 3 must-haves for me to be a successful product manager.
And how someone clear why they want to become a product manager? Because बहुत सारे लोगों से बात करते हैं तो लोग बोलते हैं कि I want to become a product manager, but they still don't know why. So how can someone clear his why?
Yeah, as I shared in my journey, for me, I wanted to do something, and then it turned out it's a product management role. Right. So it was very natural. I felt that what I was doing is what a product manager does. But I think for others, I've seen this question has come to me a lot of times. I've seen people go after product management because it's a high profile job. As I said, a product manager, even if you are a 1 year with 1 year experience,
and a high paying also.
Yeah, it does, because it brings in a lot of responsibilities. And that's why I think for anybody to decide whether they want to be a product manager, I think salary aside, they need to think about what are the key skill sets that are required to be successful as a product manager. They should work, if possible, closely with product manager and see whether they really enjoy that kind of work. Because product management also bring, like when you are responsible for delivering so many things, it also brings in a lot of pressure.
Right.
Are you able to absorb that pressure? Are you able to excel in situations where you are put in difficult spots? Like for example, somebody, I enter the office, somebody would say, hey, I want to do this. Tech will say, I want to do this. Somebody else will, like, how do you prioritize? How do you stay, how do you have that patience to listen to everybody and then come up with the right solution? Do you, like, there are so many other things, but I think first thing you should realize is try and think, if you are being put into that shoes, would you enjoy it or not? Whether that's your passion, whether that's the area you want to work for the rest of your life. If the answer is yes, well and good. If the answer is no or maybe, then I would say think about it. Don't just jump into product management, because you should not, or it's true for any career. I wouldn't say product manager, and same goes for software developer or, as a marketing person, whether you enjoy those kind of things. So I think it's just comes from the fact, I would say spend few years trying to evaluate, talk to the folks, what they do, what they enjoy, what challenges they face, then make up your mind. Don't just hurry, go after money or, limelight.
Don't
is
get
my
fascinated
suggestion.
by the glamour.
Yeah, yeah.
एंड सो आपके पास स्टार्टअप का, एमएनसीज का, टेक कंपनीज का, ऑलमोस्ट हर एक इंडस्ट्री का एक अच्छा एक्सपीरियंस है. सो दोनों डिफरेंट में, दोनों इंडस्ट्रीज में स्टार्टअप और एमएनसीज के प्रोडक्ट कल्चर में क्या डिफरेंस आपने मेजरली नोटिस किया है?
Yeah, to be honest, there is a lot of difference, and both have their pros and cons. In my view, if I have to talk maybe one or two things in terms of culture, is the mindset. So when you're working in a startup, if I talk about in terms of a product manager, so a lot of times in startups, just general feeling is कि product manager will help a company to deliver projects, deliver software solutions. So a lot of times they get the requirements from the business team, या फिर कोई एक ऐसी team, let's say marketing team, who is more closer to the customer, and a product manager is only involved when they have identified the problem and they have some basic solution in mind. They will say, okay, they'll call the product manager and say, okay, this is what we want to achieve, and then you work with the tech team and help us build a solution. So the focus there is, from a product manager, is bias for action. Like, you have to go pick this up and quickly deliver the results. Wherever, when you go in a bigger organization, the product person is also wears the customer hat, also wears the business hat. What it means is कि as a product manager, you need to decide the P&L of that product. You need to decide what needs to be built in the short term, in the long term. You are responsible to make sure your customers who are interacting with your product have a very good experience. So basically, a product person, as I said, it becomes that, you actually take up that CEO kind of a role for that product, and you think everything, and then you decide what needs to be done. So then it's more like you are the person who is leading that product, and anything that needs to be changed, anything, if from a leadership team, let's say, your manager wants to do something, they will come to you. You also become an SME of that product. You cannot say that, okay, somebody has told you to execute and you are executing. No, that answer you cannot give. You have to tell why you are doing something, what proposals you have. So you have to go and get investment for your product. So as a product manager, I would go and put a proposal saying, I want to build this, why I want to build this, what is the impact, how it will improve the customer experience. So as a product manager, you drive everything. So I would say the depth of your knowledge and the depth of your work increases, and you become more as an expert, and you have to deliver, and you become a single-threaded leader, let's put it that way, who owns each and everything. If anything is going wrong, the first question will be asked to, the buck stops with the product manager. But here in startup, it's not that kind of a culture, So that's, I would say, is the main difference between establish a big corporation or a startup.
Right. And being a fresher, किससे अपना career start करना चाहिए? As a startup or join MNC? As a product management or project management?
Yeah.
तो किसमें ज़्यादा better opportunity?
Yeah,
learning के
it's
purpose से and salary purpose से भी? क्योंकि एंड ऑफ द डे एक एम्प्लॉयर मोस्टली जो माइंडसेट के साथ जाते हैं, या तो वो लर्निंग पर्पस से जाते हैं कि मुझे यहाँ पे कुछ एक्स्ट्रा ऑर्डिनरी सीखने को मिलेगा, या वो सैलरी पर्पस से जाते हैं कि मुझे यहाँ पे एक्स्ट्रा ऑर्डिनरी सैलरी मिलेगी मार्केट के हिसाब से.
Yeah, it's an interesting question, and I have, engaged with or interacted with a lot of MBA pass outs or who are starting their career. How should they go about it? My only advice has been ki, first of all, initial 3-4 years don't go off after salary. Money will follow. I think just after the college, your learning shouldn't stop. It should increase. And the first 3-4 years is the area where you figure out what are your strengths, which are the areas you want to work on. Because when you do, let's say you pick any, course, whether you're an MBA, engineer, commerce background, at that time when you're picking that, especially in India, you may not have a lot of exposure and you don't know whether you have taken the right decision or not. And even if you feel you have taken the right decision, now it's the time to test the waters and say, okay, you have taken a certain stream, you've joined in any organization, whether it's a big MNC or a startup, you should spend time and see whether you're really enjoying that work or not. And if not, then what other things you can do. So just try and focus on that. And then once you start, once you're very sure, okay, this is your stream, then double down on that. Acquire more skills, learn tools, talk to few people, if possible have mentors from in that area, right, who can guide you at different steps. So now coming back to your question, which is the right, like join a startup versus join MNC, I think both have their pros and cons. I have learned when I was in startup, I've learned skills like how you can deliver results quickly, how you should be able to quickly engage with your stakeholders. When I was in MNC, again, different set of skill set was, I was exposed to different new learnings, and both helped me. I would say, if possible, do both, like 2 years in a startup, 2 years in MNC, and then decide based on your strength where you should work. Money is secondary. I think it will follow automatically.
Right. And आपके एक्सपीरियंस में अर्ली स्टेज में प्रोडक्ट का सबसे बड़ा फेलियर या क्या सबसे बड़ा बैड एक्सपीरियंस कौन सा था कि ये प्रोडक्ट मैंने गलत चूज़ कर लिया, इसको नहीं करना चाहिए था?
As a product manager, I think you learn, and बहुत सारे आप जो इन्वेस्टमेंट से आपका थॉट प्रोसेस होता है, हाइपोथेसिस होते हैं, वो ट्रू नहीं होते हैं. But I think in the beginning of my career, I didn't have. So I would say कि if I have to, without quoting and going into the details of the incident, but I think as a product manager, initially when I was still new into this area, I used to get attached to the product, which was my biggest mistake. So for example, and it is true, and so a product manager should not be very emotional. They need to make very objective decisions at every step of the product life cycle. So what used to happen initially, like say you pick up a product, you start working on it, and then you don't see good results. So I didn't have the courage, or I would say the wisdom to say, okay, let's take a step back and see, how you can change it. Or sometimes you have to take a call, it's not working, let's stop it and work on something else. So I think that comes with experience. But I think my mistake I made, like I continued, maybe double down on that would be my first reaction. Hey, something is not working. That means I have to fix something. But sometimes, the best decision is to let it go and pick something else. Because ultimately, your goal is to not make that product successful. Your goal should be to solve a problem. Now, that problem could be solved in 10 different ways. Don't stick to one idea or one solution. If things are not working, then figure out something else. I think the earlier you make that pivot, you will basically don't waste a lot of the resources, going in the wrong direction. So I think that was one thing which I learned initially, and then it helps me today. As a product manager, you have to go back to the drawing board time and again, see, what you have been thinking through, what you have been working through. Were you on the right path or not? And always be open to advice, seek feedback. because ultimately, as I said, solving a problem is more important than making a product successful. That's what I was not doing correctly earlier.
एंड आई थिंक मोस्ट ऑफ द स्टार्टअप फाउंडर वो अपने बिजनेस को लेके, अपने स्टार्टअप को लेके ज़्यादा ऑब्सेस्ड हो जाते हैं एज कम्पेयर टू वो अपने यूजर को लेके कि मेरे को ये
Exactly.
प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करनी थी, इस प्रॉब्लम की वजह से मैंने ये प्रोडक्ट बनाया. नाउ दे गेट ऑब्सेस्ड विद देयर प्रोडक्ट
Yeah.
और देयर स्टार्टअप, एंड वो उस चीज को फोकस में रखते ही नहीं है. इस वजह से कई सारे स्टार्टअप फेल हो
It
जाते हैं.
comes as like an ego, like you started something because initially when you work on something तो काफी pushback होता है from your relatives, your friends. यार ये नहीं चलेगा, but you have a strong conviction to go about it. नहीं चलेगा, but then you forget कि you started this journey to solve a problem. It's not an ego thing, like you working on a solution कि वो ही उसी से ही solve होगा. Because as part of the journey you will learn new things, so just pivot quickly, and I think this comes with experience a lot of times.
So how we can identify कि ये जो मेरा बिजनेस आइडिया है या मेरा ये जो प्रोडक्ट में जो मैं बिल्ड कर रहा हूँ ये काम करेगा. आइडिया वैलिडेशन कैसे निकालते हैं एक प्रोडक्ट के पहले? इन्वेस्ट कर दिया टाइम बहुत ज़्यादा या पैसा बहुत ज़्यादा इन्वेस्ट कर दिया, उससे पहले अगर किसी को एक अपना आइडिया वैलिडेशन करना हो तो बेसिक स्टेप्स क्या रहते हैं जिससे वो चेक कर सकता है कि ये मेरा आइडिया है, ये वैलिडेट है, इससे मार्केट में इसकी डिमांड है, इससे पैसा आएगा? क्या स्ट्रैटेजी फॉलो करनी चाहिए उसके लिए?
I think there are a lot of frameworks which are available in the markets. अभी तो like when I started my career as a product manager, I think it was altogether a new concept way back 12-13 years ago. Abhi to there are a lot of tools like you can use frameworks to say okay, this is a problem statement. You bring in the customer perspective, you bring in some data, you do a lot of research with ChatGPT now. You have a lot of access to data. Now it is easier, but at the same time your competition is also increasing because everybody is looking into that data and figuring out. I feel for somebody who is new into this, they should figure out if they can have a mentor, strong mentor, and maybe multiple folks whom they can chat about the ideas, because I think experience teaches you a lot of things, and it's not wrong that you should go out in the world, like experiment, see failure, because failures are your way of learning things. But I would say ki minimize your mistakes, because sometimes when you face a roadblock or you fail at some point in time, it just breaks you down. That should not happen. So that's why having mentors early in your career, whether you are a startup founder or starting your career in a corporate, try and go for a mentor, who can help you at different stages, who can help you protect from some of the common mistakes, you might end up doing. तो उससे आप काफ़ी कुछ बच सकते हो. And I would say be curious, learn from your peers, learn from your competitors. Don't get influenced by them, but just learn. Just see, what they have seen. Talk to a lot of people in the industry. I think you can get a lot of good insights, and just be open-minded, and and I think the journey will always be beautiful. At the end of the day, if you are a founder, you have tried on something, even if it fails, as long as you can enjoy that journey, I think it is really awesome, because whether you are in a corporate or working anywhere, if you're not enjoying the journey, then I think that's the red flag for me. Because challenges will come no matter what you do.
Right.
So if you're not able to really enjoy those challenges, and you have that attitude, okay, this is a new challenge, take this new challenge as a new opportunity and say, okay, how do I solve for it?
Exactly.
Sometimes you'll be successful, sometimes you'll not be, but the journey will be really enjoyable if you have that gut that even if you fail, you can come back tomorrow and say, okay, I will solve it no matter how. So I think that's the attitude which needs to be there.
Also, finding a right mentor is very difficult nowadays. So कैसे ढूंढ सकते हैं कि आपको एक क्लैरिटी आनी चाहिए कि हाँ ये मेरे लिए बहुत ही सही मेंटोर है, मैं इसके ऊपर रिलाई कर सकता हूँ, अपनी चीज़ें इसके साथ डिस्कस कर सकता हूँ इन टर्म्स ऑफ वर्क, इन टर्म्स ऑफ अदर थिंग्स. तो वो चीज़ कैसे फिगर आउट करनी है कि क्या क्वालिटीज़ एक मेंटोर के अंदर होनी चाहिए जो उसको एक मेंटोर बनाती हैं, या आप कैसे फिगर आउट कर सकते हैं कि ये एक मेंटोर बन सकता है मेरा?
So I think your mentor should be somebody who has done or has a good experience in the field you are working in. So let's say let's say I work in a corporate field and I'm a product manager, if I choose a mentor who is not into that industry, then they'll not be able to really appreciate my problems. They would not have gone through that journey. So that's one. Second thing is, you should have a mentor who is able to connect with you, and that you can figure out in the initial few conversations, that are you able to really connect with that person or not. Third thing is availability of that person. Sometimes you really want to go for somebody who is really at a very higher level in your organization, and the availability of time is challenged. So I would say you can have multiple mentors. Try and have somebody at least with whom you can quickly discuss something at a frequent level. You shouldn't go for somebody and rely on somebody fully who is not really available, because if somebody is time constrained, they'll not be able to give you a quality time. So just try and make sure that the person is agreeing to mentoring you and has time for you. And then I think you shouldn't think about like you should have only one mentor. You can have multiple mentors, and at different stages of your life, you'll need a different skill set in your mentor. So you can talk to different people. Like for example, my theory has been I always try and make sure my manager is my mentor, because it's in our mutual interest to make like me successful. Right. Because if I am not successful, it is going to impact my manager. And I've been blessed that I've worked with all great leaders, who have given me advice, be it personal or professional. And yeah, that's another important aspect. Like you should be able to discuss your personal problems also with your mentor. It's not necessary that you will always talk about your professional things. Right. Because in today's world, it's very fast paced. You need to manage your family as well. So sometimes, the problems are such that, you need to decide, let's say for example, there is a very challenging assignment. Now, at the same time at home, you also need to commit on something, be it kids, be it your spouse or your parents. So sometimes you need to discuss those things also with your mentor. So you should be very open and have that kind of, relationship with your mentor. So it would really help.
Right. एंड जो हम लोग अगर एक स्टार्टअप बिल्ड कर रहे हैं या एक प्रोडक्ट बिल्ड कर रहे हैं तो उसका मार्केट टेस्ट पहले करते हैं. मोस्ट ऑफ द कंपनीज या स्टार्टअप जो अर्ली स्टेज में होते हैं मार्केट टेस्ट करते हैं कि सर्वे करते हैं. तो उसका क्या मेथड होता है कि आप कम से कम पैसे लगा के एक MVP बना के एक मार्केट टेस्ट करके ये टेस्ट कर सकते हो कि ये प्रोडक्ट मेरा चलेगा या नहीं चलेगा?
So if I am getting your question correctly, you want to understand that is how do we do it? Like, yes. How do we test the waters, basically? Yeah. So I think, again, in product manager, in this field, you're actually being coached to do that. So the concept is you come up with an idea, you brainstorm, मतलब जो भी आपका idea है उसको एक paper पे डालो, think through it, review with your stakeholders, and then once everybody is aligned and you have taken down, all the inputs, then you basically come up with the very basic version, which is MVP, minimum viable product, which is basically the idea of this product is to do some sort of a POC where you launch it in a very limited, expose it to a very limited set of customers. Some part of it will be manual because you have not invested everything into building that product. And I think as a founder, as a product manager, you should always do that, because whatever hypothesis you have that this product solution will solve the problems, it may not hold true. And in majority of the cases it happens. You might start with idea A, but what you build as a final product is a very different version of that idea. And as part of this you will be able to, so the whole concept of doing this is that you should be able to quickly iterate over it, learn from it, and then build the best solution out in the market. So nowadays, I think it's been a practice that we should follow this, that, how quickly we can test it. And it's been asked from product managers that, okay, your idea is good, but how will you test it out? So then you need to be prepared. And there are very simple ways to do that, without taking an example. But my thought process is it is like a part of your journey, whenever you are doing a product development, you should make sure that you test the waters. Without that, you don't go full blown into it or overcommit yourself into building the entire solution.
राइट. एंड इसमें एक चैलेंज ये भी हम लोगों के पास बहुत बड़ा आ जाता है कि अगर हम लोगों ने एक प्रोडक्ट बनाया तो हम लोग उसकी कमियां खुद से तो देख नहीं पाते हैं. हम लोगों को एटलीस्ट एक सेकेंड पर्सन या थर्ड पर्सन चाहिए होता है जो उसके नेगेटिव पॉइंट्स को भी हाईलाइट कर सके, एंड उन पॉइंट्स पे वर्क करना, फिर उसके बाद उस चीज़ को फुलफिल करना एंड देन फाइनल प्रोडक्ट लॉन्च करना. तो वो एक स्ट्रक्चर होता है जो हर एक कंपनी, हर एक स्टार्टअप जो है इनिशियल लेवल पे बिल्ड नहीं कर पाते हैं. क्योंकि हमने अगर कोई प्रोडक्ट बनाया है, एक फॉर एग्जांपल एक मेरा आइडिया है, उस पर मैं वर्क करे जा रहा हूँ, किसी से डिस्कस नहीं कर रहा हूँ. यहाँ पे कई सारे फाउंडर्स जो हैं वो आई थिंक मिस कर जाते हैं पॉइंट कि उनको लगता है कि मैंने अपना आइडिया किसी के साथ शेयर किया तो वो कॉपी हो जाएगा या वो कोई और बिल्ड कर लेगा. एक्चुअल में ऐसा नहीं है. अगर आपका एग्जीक्यूशन बहुत राइट डायरेक्शन में होता है तो मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम आपका प्रोडक्ट ही सबसे पहले लॉन्च होता है. एंड अगर आपका आइडिया कॉपी भी हो जाता है तो इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि आप उससे बेटर अपना प्रोडक्ट बना नहीं सकते सेम इंडस्ट्री में. तो ये एक बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज रहता है. एंड एज अ प्रोडक्ट मैनेजमेंट अगर हम लोग बात करें तो ऐसे कौन से टूल्स हैं या ऐसे कौन सी AI टूल्स वी कैन से नाउअडेज जो डेली लाइफ में हम लोग यूज़ करते हैं, जिनको हर एक इनिशियल लेवल पे फ्रेशर को भी सीखना चाहिए, अगर आप एक एक्सपीरियंस हैं तो उनको भी सीखना चाहिए.
सो ओके, सो वी हैव 2 क्वेश्चंस. पहला है कि आपको वेदर हाउ डू यू टेस्ट एंड लाइक should you ignore and is that a really good strategy कि आप feedback मत लो? I don't think so. So and I have seen people who approached me for their idea. So I think you need to have some level of trust with your peers, folks you have worked with, that they will not misuse or take your idea and start building of their own.
Right.
I think you need to identify those set of people, and as a founder, this is again another skill set which you need to develop, that how do you figure out the right sort of people with whom you can work, whether you will hire them or in general. So that's one. It is very important to take the feedback. If you don't take the feedback timely, you might end up going in the wrong path. So you need to, make sure that you don't make that mistake. And second thing is, nowadays I'm seeing there are, companies who can help you. You can take their help to do research. There are a lot of experienced folks out there in the market who, you can take their services on hourly basis. Just bounce off your ideas. And they are under contractual obligations to not, misuse that idea. So I think those things can be explored. Coming to the other question on the tools, AI tools, I feel with the usage and, we are seeing every day new tools are coming up. I don't think we should, and I wouldn't name any tool. I would just encourage anybody who is whether into product management or marketing, just keep exploring new tools, because if you name some of them now, they may be irrelevant, next week or after 1 month. So I would say start, whatever you do, just try and figure out what are the options in the market and keep evaluating. So the other day I was talking to somebody with a problem statement that, in our company we want to automate some of the test cases. So his question was like, have you explored, there are a lot of new tools which are available, like have you decided whether you want to hire somebody with that kind of a skill set or you want to go for some tools? That made me thinking, because I as a product manager always think about using those tools in product management, but right. Everything that we do today, whether it is HR, quality testing, software development, there are so many just tools available. So keep exploring, keep trying new tools. I think that's the only way for us to be more effective and productive in our work. So, yeah.
And cross-functional teams के साथ काम करना, उनके साथ अलाइन होना, वो कितना ज़्यादा चैलेंजिंग हो जाता है एक प्रोडक्ट मैनेजमेंट के लिए, क्योंकि आपकी डायरेक्ट, एज यू सेड दैट यू आर नॉट एवरीवन रिपोर्टिंग टू यू, बट इनडायरेक्टली आपको सबसे अपना काम करवाना है. तो वो कितना ज़्यादा चैलेंजिंग होता है, स्पेशली विद यंग जनरेशन वर्कफोर्स, क्योंकि माइंडसेट एक बहुत डिफरेंट होता है, एक एज गैप होता है, जनरेशन गैप होता है, तो काम करने का तरीका भी दोनों का अलग अलग होता है. तो बहुत ज़्यादा एक चैलेंजिंग पार्ट होता है किसी भी फाउंडर के लिए एज अ प्रोडक्ट मैनेजमेंट के लिए. तो इस चीज़ को कैसे आप डील करते हैं?
I think, yeah. So initially, when you start working, you you come with lot of enthu that you want to solve this, and you feel that what you think is the right thing to do. But I think over time, with experience, people realize that it's very important to work closely with your stakeholders. So my only mantra or suggestion here would be that so when you're working on something, just spend some time, identify who are your stakeholders. And I think that's where the biggest mistake done by any new person, be it a new founder or a product manager or any other person, is that you really don't identify your stakeholders early into that journey. So what you end up doing is you start working on something, and then somebody tells you, hey, have you talked to that person, have you taken his feedback? So then you realize, you have to pass that bridge where you have to align them. That's where, because if you are able to do a good job of identifying your stakeholders upfront, then you know that you need to involve them in your decision making, you need to involve them in the journey. Don't think about that they will come and provide your feedback and then your project will be delayed. My advice would be identify those stakeholders upfront, start involving them into the discussion very early. Let's say you think about an idea, just involve them, call for a 30 minutes meeting and say, okay, this is a new idea, this is something I have thought through, what is your feedback? Take that feedback, iterate over it, go back to those stakeholders. So when you have onboarded them in your journey in very early stages, they will be helping you to deliver that project faster. Right. They will also have interest in your project. But then there are some other things, I will not go into the details, but I think this is the most important thing is identify your stakeholders, involve them into your product development early into the journey of the product development, and then keep engaging with them time to time. It's then your responsibility. It's not like, I've come to Gaurav, okay, you give me your feedback. Now I went back 3 months, no update. Then Gaurav will lose interest in that. Right. So you need to make sure that how do you engage Gaurav every now and then. Even if you don't need the feedback, update them. Hey, Gaurav, we discussed on something. This is where I've reached to. I will come back to you on something. But, you need to keep engaging with them. That's the mistake I think I've seen a lot of people make. And then they complain, hey, Gaurav has come back and now he's saying he will not approve it, but I need Gaurav's help. So it doesn't work that way. So, yeah.
And इतना अच्छा कॉर्पोरेट का एक्सपीरियंस होने के बाद आपने कभी अपने स्टार्टअप के बारे में क्यों नहीं सोचा?
I mean, yeah, I do think about it, but it's just that I would say I have not cracked an idea which I feel I'm very convinced I want to go after. But yeah, I think it is there on my mind. At some point in time, I will maybe, if once I have truly a great idea, I'll focus on it and work on it.
And अगर वो idea most of the time किस industry में उसको?
So I've majorly worked in fintech space, e-commerce space. Most likely, if I have to pick some, or like if I will work on it, it'll be in this space only, because I know the customer here well, so I can relate to their problems. So rather than picking an idea in a different space, I would think that it will be in this area only.
So our next section is fintech based section, जहाँ पे हम लोग smart spending के ऊपर थोड़ी सी discussion करेंगे. So our first question is, आजकल लोग क्रेडिट कार्ड का इस्तेमाल किस तरीके से स्मार्ट वे में कर सकते हैं?
Yeah, I think today, early, like if I compare the kind of credit cards which are available in the market as compared to maybe 10-15 years when I started availing credit card, it was very different. It was like plain simple, you take HDFC, SBI, same offer, everything was same. But now it's very, it's based on use cases. For example, I want to have a credit card which gives me free lounge access or, give me benefits for travel. So I know, which is my area and I can go very specifically and target those cards who gives me the benefits. Right. Somebody who is a movie buff, they can go and avail cards, which helps you
Right.
to get some discounts or offers. So I think today there are a lot of options for customers, and I see, when I talk to let's say people in that age group, 20 to 25, they have a lot of ideas, and they always share like how they use their credit cards and all. So I think that kind of knowledge and availability of the products were not there. So I think right now people truly use credit cards to their advantage, and that's the right way to use it.
एंड क्या आपको लगता है कि रिवॉर्ड बेस्ड जो क्रेडिट कार्ड्स जेन्युइनली कस्टमर को वैल्यू क्रिएट करके देते हैं?
I think so. Yeah, definitely. I have used. It's just that the person who is using needs to be very disciplined.
Right.
Don't use or misuse the credit card where you just go for it without really thinking how will you pay it back. As long as you have a financial discipline, I think they can just give you. I have used I've done free travel on the credit card reward points. I've stayed in nice hotels. So I think definitely it helps.
एंड फिनटेक इंडस्ट्री के आने से लोन डिस्पर्सल में क्या इम्प्रूवमेंट आई है कि जो लोन का प्रोसेस होता था पहले बैंक्स के थ्रू काफ़ी ज़्यादा लेट होता था कि आपको 2-3 हफ्ते 4 हफ्ते भी लग जाते थे, मंथ्स लग जाते थे कई बार लोन अप्रूव होने में. तो जो फिनटेक लॉन्च हुआ, जब फिनटेक हम लोगों का आया 10-15 साल पहले, उसकी वजह से क्या क्या बेनिफिट्स मिले हैं यूज़र्स को, जहाँ से अपनी प्रॉब्लम्स के लिए या लोन्स के लिए एक एडवांटेज क्रिएट हुआ है?
Yeah, I think what fintech has done is and especially in India, like I've been in US and I've seen how slow the banking system is there, and you really feel when I moved from India to US for a few years, I was like totally surprised that the developed countries like even US, they are so slow in terms of banking. Like you initiate a transfer, it will come to your account in 3 days. That's like, I felt very outdated when I went there. But now coming to India FinTech, I think the first thing India FinTech has done is the access to the financial services. Earlier, when you think about taking a loan, let's say if I'm in tier 3, tier 4 cities, you go to a bank, they will ask you so many questions. You have to fill so many forms. The entire process was so cumbersome that you'll say, okay, let me go to some money lender who may charge you a higher rate, but at least you will get the money. But now with fintech, you can download an app, you can start the process. You see a lot of options, like India Lends is one such platform which helps you to access loans from different banks. You get to see everything upfront, and you can quickly complete the process. You can upload your KYC details, and in a very short span of time, you will get to know whether you're getting a loan or not, and you will directly get it disbursed in your bank account. And then, earlier there was no concept of building credit scores,
Right.
but now customers are becoming aware of their credit score and how it will help them in their journey. So I think fintech have played a big role in India to help customers avail financial services. And I also feel that the journey hasn't stopped. There is still a long way to go, because still, majority of the population is still underserved. There is a lot of opportunities in the rural areas where, customers still are not availing fintech services, or they are able to get, access to loans at a cheaper rate. So I think this journey will continue, but I truly believe fintech in India has played a very transformational role, and और उससे customers have benefited immensely.
Right. And as you talk about the credit score, so ऐसी क्या best practice है जो लोग early stage में कर सकते हैं to build their credit score?
Yeah, I think it is important. So first thing, जो I feel and I truly believe that our education system today doesn't teach the financial planning,
Right.
financial investments. I think it should be part of the curriculum. Like when I talk to my kids, I feel that they need to be educated. And even in my childhood days, the only concept I knew was saving. But outside of saving, I didn't know anything. Like when you save money, then you do what? Let's say you have X lakh rupees in your bank account. how do you make that money, work for you to generate more wealth?
Right.
So those concepts are not taught. That's the first thing. And same thing, for example, I'll just take this. You go to a country like developed country like US. If you don't have a credit score, you'll get loan at a very high rate. Anything you want to do, they'll ask you what's your credit score. So it intentionally, people who migrate there or go and live there for a few years, the very first thing they do is take a loan. And the importance of loan, whether it is through a credit card, home loan, car loan, the important thing is that you need to establish your financial behavior in the market. Because unless you take a loan and you do the repayments, the bureaus, the banks, they will not understand, whether they can issue you a higher loan.
Right.
And how much should they trust on you that they will be getting their money back. So that's why availing loan services or credit services early in your career, I think it's very important. So I think as a pass out, you should definitely have a credit card. You should use it, pay back, make sure that you make the payments in time so that you build a healthy credit score. Because later on in your life, when you go for home loans, big amount loans, this is gonna help you.
Right.
So, and now there are tools available in the market. Again, companies like India Lens helps you to see your current score. It can guide you to improve it. So I think you should be using those tools and make sure that you have a healthy credit score, because it's gonna help you later when you need bigger loans.
Right. And since we are talking about the business and everything, business loan को किस स्टेज पे लेना चाहिए अपने बिजनेस में कि व्हेन यू आर स्टक इन बिजनेस, व्हेन यू आर स्टार्टिंग अ बिजनेस लोन के बेस्ट ऑप्शन क्या हैं, किस तरीके से हम लोग अपने बिजनेस में बिजनेस लोन को इन्वॉल्व कर सकते हैं टू ग्रो आवर बिजनेस?
Yeah, so because I have not been an entrepreneur myself, so I cannot answer you exactly at what stage. But I think in general, my only suggestion here would be that loan is a way for you to leverage something. So access to capital is important. Right. Everybody should have that. But just think about it, because I've seen, मतलब आज की डेट में अगर हम थोड़ा हिस्ट्री में जाएं, there are a lot of companies who were very promising, but the mistakes done by the founder was that they had access to a lot of capital and they misused it. They went on hiring, shopping spree. Let's buy this company, let's acquire this, without really thinking what problem they initially started to work on, and have they actually mastered that? Have they really, solved all the problems without really going into that? As soon as they see, okay, there is a money on the table, let's take it and start doing, 10 different things. I think I would suggest against that don't make that mistake, because at certain times access to capital is easy, but in, difficult times it becomes, very challenging. So I would just, say that exercise caution when you want to use capital, when to use it, and always put it to right purpose.
So for low segment small ticket जो PL and CC प्रोडक्ट होते हैं, उनमें क्या गेम चेंजिंग हो सकता है आने वाले टाइम में?
So I think एक तो जो main thing है target addressable market, which is like how many customers actually need this product. So there is a lot of those customers who are out there and who need small ticket size loans, personal loans, business loans, but they don't know right now where to go, and they still end up, talking to their friends, family members, or maybe in rural areas they go to somebody who is giving them at a very high rate. So I think the biggest opportunity for fintechs in this space is how they can crack that model where they reach out to all this segment of customers. And the first step would be, how do you financially educate these set of customers, that what are the benefits of going via banks, or start using, let's say, mobile applications where you can access this thing at a very fast pace and at a very good rates of interest, which they may not have access to if they use the conventional channels. So I feel the opportunity is large, but at the same time there are challenges. How do you go out and meet that segment of customers? and there is a limitation to it. For example, language is another barrier. When you create your products, India is a country with so many languages. Then how do you make your products available in those languages? So there are, I think, these challenges, but I think opportunity-wise, there is like a lot in India to be done.
राइट एंड आपको क्या लगता है मोस्ट ऑफ द फिनटेक कंपनीज को अवेयरनेस पर्पज से भी काम करना चाहिए कस्टमर्स के कि उनको लोन के बारे में अवेयर करना या किस तरीके से अपने लोन को ज़्यादा बेटर वे में यूज़ कर सकते हैं तो इन सब
Absolutely. I think a lot of our customers are first time to the overall market in terms of formal financial services. So they are new to credit. They don't know what is a credit score.
Right.
And उसका importance क्या है? How if they are not getting a big loan, should at least they should get a small ticket loan from a formal sector so that their like they can build a good score, which is basically underlying thing is that they need to prove that they have a good intent to repay the loans. It's not like they will come take a loan and go away. So they need to prove themselves in the market, in order to be eligible for higher loans. So I think fintech has a big role to play here, and our regulators are also paying a lot of attention, making sure that fintechs are doing the right job. They are not misusing customer consent. There are a lot of regulations which have been coming, and I think for a fintech to be successful, they need to definitely pay attention, because a lot of the customers who are gonna come in next few years, they will be new to credit, new to loans, new to credit cards. Right. So they need to play a key role. Yeah.
Right. And कंपैरिजन अगर करते हैं NBFCs का या मार्केट प्लेस का तो फर्स्ट टाइम यूज़र के लिए बेटर अपॉर्चुनिटीज़ कहाँ पे रहती हैं टू गेट अ बेस्ट डील और बेटर डील दे शुड चूज मार्केट प्लेस और दे जस्ट directly go to approach the NBFCs?
So I think the marketplace, what it does is it's same thing. Like if I give you an analogy, like say if I'm a customer, I want to buy a laptop. I can go to an HP store, I can go to a Dell store, I can go to IBM, Apple. But if you go to, let's say, Amazon, Flipkart, you get to see all those products, their price points, you can compare a lot of those things. Everything is available in your phone. Like you can access those things quickly, and plus what marketplace also helps you to do is complete the process quickly. Now you have identified, okay, you want to buy a HP laptop. Now you have two options. You go and find out the HP shop near you, or you can order there and you get the product at your convenience. Right. So that's the key difference. So I think for existing customers who you have access to credit already, or they have done that previously, or if it's a new customer, I think marketplace are doing the same thing. They are tying up with a lot of lenders. Basically they are doing the middle job of connecting the demand and supply. So I think if a customer comes to marketplace, they will have access to a lot of lenders. Even if one lender is rejecting them for some reason, the other lender can give them loan. And there are other options, which a marketplace can suggest, which other NBFCs may not be able to do that. So I feel that going via marketplace definitely gives a lot of options which are not there.
And sir, extra benefit for customer कि अगर आपका एक जगह से नहीं पास हो रहा है तो आपका दूसरी जगह से मिल जाएगा.
Exactly.
आपको extra effort नहीं डालना पड़ेगा, same process repeat नहीं करना पड़ेगा.
You don't have to fill those applications. You once you give your data, you can reuse that data and apply in 10 different places.
So thank you, Amit. That's it for the today podcast. Thank you so much for sharing your experience and insights about the fintech, your Amazon experience, your product management experience. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you. My pleasure. Thank you.
अगर आपको हमारा आज का पॉडकास्ट पसंद आया तो इस पॉडकास्ट को उन लोगों के साथ शेयर करें जो लोग प्रोडक्ट मैनेजमेंट में अपना करियर बिल्ड करना चाहते हैं. एंड ऐसे ही और एक्साइटिंग पॉडकास्ट के लिए इंडिया लेंड्स के चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करें.